Game week 38. Too little too late.
Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast.
Hello and welcome on board flight episode 35 of Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast. This is your captain and host speaking, Geoff Willis, and each week I'll be taking flight to talk fantasy Premier League football. You can find the show on a whole host of podcast services. Just search Captain's Pick. Please leave a review, like, share and subscribe. On today's show, I'll give a quick review of my game week 38, reveal my final league standings and talk about the Europa League Final. And apologies for not getting this review out sooner. Just wanted to take a couple of weeks away after the last game of the season just to contemplate and look up everything I needed to know before doing the next podcast, and just give me a little bit of time to be able to reflect and give more of a balanced view of how the game week went and how the my final positions in the final standings in my leagues, and not be so downhearted and trying to be a little bit more optimistic. But first, as ever, a quick shout out to the half-season community league, which started scoring back in game week 20 and was set up to raise money and awareness for Cancer Research UK. And the league, of course, is now finished. And going to give a shout out to the top 10 here in the community league, and it's been a real success. We've raised nearly £300 for Cancer Research UK, so very proud of that. Thank you so much for competing and for donating money. I'll be putting some pictures up of the league standings on the Captain's Pick Pod Twitter account, so look out for that. So here's the top 10 then, the final total after scoring 18 weeks, so from game week 20. And in at 10 we have Vishnu Khanna. 9 is Mustafa Mohsen. In at 8, who's been in and around the top 10 for most of the league, is Shanajan Jigathisawaran. In at 7 is Roy Isani. And number 6 is Mark Down, who spent probably a good 6 weeks up at the top of the league around the February-March time, but slipped away certainly in the last few weeks, and in the end was about 100 points away from first place. In at 5 we have Subhadeep Bag. 4 is Ryan Lee, again with his team 50 Shades of O'Shea, been in and around the top 10 for the whole of this league, so well done Ryan. And then special shout out to the top 3. So in at 3, who had a really storming last few weeks, is a friend of the show, Aaron Boyle, with his team Percy's Blonkers. Scored a 78 in the final game week, and that saw him rise up the rankings. Again, in and around the top 10, but great effort from him, and he finished on 1,199 points. In at 2 is Kyle Gall with Sorry But This Is My Year. Excellent effort from him. Did his best to try and get into that top spot in the last game week. Scored a massive 97 points and got up to a total of 1268. So great effort from Kyle. Just fell short right at the end. About 30 points away from the man who's been number 1 for about the last 4 or 5 game weeks, and that's Tom Dunmassey. And he scored a game week score of 69 points, which left him on 1,301 points. So congratulations to Tom. Excellent effort to score that amount of points since game week 20. I was languishing down in 49th place with 1,069 points, so I was 230 odd points from the top. So disappointing effort from me, but this was definitely a league set up for the community and to raise money and awareness for Cancer Research UK. But Tom does come first and does collect that number one prize of a £50 gift voucher for Amazon. So Tom, if you're listening, congratulations. Do get in touch with the podcast, so you can DM me on Twitter at CaptainsPickPod, or you can give us an email at captainspickpod@gmail.com. I'll be putting a picture of this on the Twitter account, so if anyone's listening and knows Tom or knows his details or his Twitter handle, do let him know that that £50 is his. Just needs to get in contact with me, and all I'll need is an email address, and I can get that email gift voucher sent straight to you. So again, congratulations to Tom. Thanks everyone for competing and raising money and awareness for a great cause. And thanks so much for competing in the half-season Community League. Now, going over to my game week 38 score, scored 68 points, which was okay. The average points was 51, so yeah, a decent score. But game week rank of 1,000,000. Took a -4, so I suppose it was 64 points in the end. And really, so the transfer I did, one of them was to bring Alexander-Arnold in. He scored 15 points, so that was a great transfer, one of my best all season. So it was nice to do that on the last game of the season. Robertson scoring 6 points as well, getting a clean sheet in that Liverpool 2-0 win against Wolves. Mane did well, 15 points from him, although didn't captain him. I actually had saved my triple captaincy and used it on Sterling, and feel like I picked the right game because City won 4-1, but unfortunately he just got 1 assist. So City score 4 goals and he is just 1 assist from that, so can't quite believe that. Would have definitely seen me rise up the rankings a little bit more if he'd come in with 1 or 2 goals. Hat-trick would have been amazing. My original plan was to use the triple captaincy in that Liverpool game against Huddersfield. Probably should have used it in that, but I was chasing mini-league standings and not overall rank at that stage. I'm sure if I had brought in Salah, which was my intention, triple captained him, and brought in Mane, I think it would have took about an 8-point hit. But it definitely would have been worth it in terms of overall rank. It would have narrowed some of the points distance in my mini leagues, but definitely wouldn't have made too much difference in that. But certainly would have made a difference in overall rank. But there we go. And Aguero getting his goal, 6 points in that last game of the season. Did well to bench my 2 Wolves players, Dotti and Jimenez, both doing nothing. So made probably the right calls. Quite happy. Wilson didn't get anything. Disappointing in the last game of the season. Milivojevic of Crystal Palace, brought him in for the last 3 games of the season and did absolutely nothing. So that was a bit of a shame. Could have got some points elsewhere potentially there. My other transfer was to bring in Bernardo Silva again. Been excellent this year. City winning 4-1 at Brighton, and he's not involved with any of it. Watching the highlights back, he definitely could have got lots of points in that game as well. So slightly disappointed not to get more points in that game week 38. But it did see me rise about 10,000 places to an overall rank of 234k. So again, target was inside the top 100 and was in there up until about game week 22, and then fell about 400,000 places. And in the next episode, I'll be looking back at all the game weeks, the season as a whole, and trying to find where I possibly made a few mistakes, and hopefully can learn from those for next season. So I finished on 2,211 points, which is my biggest point score ever, by about 77 points. my overall rank is my second best, but about 120k down from where I was last season. So that's disappointing, but there's more players playing the game. Scored the most points I ever have, so again, just it's a weird one to call, really. I think I've got to take the positive, scoring the best score I've ever scored, and really just got to go with that, because I think the overall rank can fluctuate because there is so many players playing the game now. So happy for the points total for sure. In my two main mini leagues, so in the mini league I'd won back-to-back seasons. Couldn't make it 3 in a row, unfortunately. Fell a little bit short in that league by about 50 points. Don't think I could have done too much in the last. Even triple captain in Salah in that Huddersfield game probably wasn't going to be enough points. Might have made it a little bit tighter, but don't think I was going to make that. And my other main mini league, it again just fell about 60 points short. Came second in that one, so second twice in a row. Hopefully can go one better next season and win that league. But it's very competitive, and sometimes it goes like that in mini leagues. But all I can do is score the most points I've ever scored before, and see where that takes me. And that will certainly be a target for next year, I think. And still like to be inside the top 100k, but I think as long as I keep trying to top my previous year's score and just keep scoring personal bests, I think that's all I can really do. So that's the sort of the final league standings. My overall rank, and I say next week I will be reviewing the season as a whole, the ups and the downs, sort of my highlight of the season, digging into a little bit more detail of how many transfers I made and what dodgy transfers I made, what good transfers I made, see if I can pick up any trends, and just really dig down and give a bit of a season review and just see what I can learn from this season. I also wanted just to give a quick shout out to my team Chelsea, who won the Europa League Final last night, 4-1 against Arsenal. So always great to win a final against your local London rivals. It doesn't get too much better than that. Looks as though it's Eden Hazard's last game for Chelsea, which would be disappointing, but played for us for 7 seasons and won near enough everything he could win, bar the Champions League with us. So if it is, farewell Eden, thanks for everything. And will be very interesting to see if the manager stays. I'm not sure Sarri will be there next year. Arsenal fans will be very disappointed, I think, from their performance. I think both teams have still got quite a lot to look at next season to be competitive, to stay in that top 4. Obviously Chelsea getting Champions League football, but we have this transfer ban for the next 2 transfer windows. So we'll see how we do there. It's not going to be easy, but it's great to get silverware in the cabinet. Great to see them win the Europa League twice in 7 years, I think that is 6 years. Excellent from Chelsea, and I'm sure disappointed from Arsenal, but it'll be interesting to see how both teams react now in the summer after that final. Okay, so that's where I'm going to land the show, and a reminder that I will be doing another podcast next week, a season review, and I'll also be looking at what hopefully will be a fantastic Champions League final. Feel free to send in any questions or topics you'd like discussed on the show to the podcast Twitter account @CaptainsPickPod, or the podcast email address captainspickpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening to this in-flight podcast. I've been your captain, and until next time, it's been my pleasure to talk with you.
Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast.